All right. Welcome, 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 everybody. Glad to have you here. As we continue on this journey of time to tell the truth, excited to have you here. For those of you that are here live on Zoom, we're also live on Facebook. But we've kind of got a co-title for this because we recognize some people just can't handle the truth. So when it comes to making decisions about our life and about our lifestyle and about our health, we want to be in a position where we can handle it. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Dr. Roz, full name Rosalind Shaw Belt. I am the CEO of Dream to Life Production Ministry, LLC, Incorporated. I'm a wife, a bunch of other stuff that I've been blessed to be a part of in my life, to be faithful over a few things. God's made me ruler over much. But in this segment, I'm a certified wellness coach. Glad to be that. So glad that I've gone through the trainings and teachings that have been made available to me. Naturopathic Dr. Eric Prince, gone through a couple of his certifications. And so that's why through the research, through the study, through listening, we've come up with a lot of powerful information that we want to help you. So we've been doing this series, and this is part 4 as it relates to the power of the sun, the SUN, as it relates to our wellness. So let's go to part 4 of this, and we hope that you will get some special blessings out of what you're about to hear. And if you missed the other parts, definitely go to our YouTube page and definitely get there, and it's at Adrian Belt, and you'll see the rest of those teachings became part 1, 2, and 3 as it relates to the sun. Let's listen to what Dr. Bobby Price has to say about blood pressure and wound healing.
Right. Also helps to lower blood pressure as well too. All right, so hugely important. And it also improves wound healing. So if I had a wound that I wanted to heal, one of the things that I would do is get sun exposure. I would be outside. Okay. Now, of course, you protect the wound, but at the end of the day, you simply being outside is actually going to help the healing process when it comes to the wound as well too.
So blood pressure and wound healing,
Also,
that's pretty amazing.
right.
Because the sun has dual health benefits, and that's what we really have to understand about the dual benefits of the sun. As we learn this more and more, blood pressure regulation, it's the rays of the sun, the UVA rays, they penetrate the skin, they trigger the release of nitric oxide that's stored in the upper skin layers. And this powerful molecule causes blood vessels to dilate, reducing blood pressure naturally. Studies have shown that just 20 to 30 minutes of moderate sun exposure can produce measurable cardiovascular benefits, offering a natural complement to traditional treatments. And we talked about even the cardiovascular aspects of the sun on last time. So we definitely want to do that. Then the wound healing. Sunlight accelerates tissue repair through multiple mechanisms. And when you think about this, a lot of times when we have an accident or whatever the case may be that's caused us to have a wound, where do we usually end up? Indoors. Rarely are we outdoors exposing ourselves when we've got some kind of wound. We don't even think about that. And we always want to say safety first, and you're going to hear me talking about that quite a bit, because even some of you have probably first of all tuned out even all of this teaching as it relates to the sun, because you've been told you shouldn't have that much sun, you've been told you can't look at the sun, you've been told all kind of stuff. It's all about the time of day that you do it. Okay, so you got to have some safety.
And to answer the question, why are so many people so sensitive to the sun, even allergic to the sun, using air quotes, the reason why is because of our diet. Okay, you have to understand what you eat, especially when it's toxic, it comes out through your skin. And eating something like seed oils and unhealthy foods, when it comes out through your skin, for the most part, is going to be acidic. And then you add sunlight and heat to something that is acidic, Okay, it's like cooking the skin. Okay, so it's not that the sun itself is cooking the skin, it's what is coming out of the skin and then the sunlight hitting it, which is causing you to become sunburned, okay, or get hives or get rashes or whatever it may be. So it's really important to understand that if you have a sensitivity to the sun currently, what you need to do is change your diet. You need to detox and get the waste out of your body. All right. A lot of people who've done my detox have noticed that they've improved their ability to remain in the sun longer. Okay. Because you got the waste out. All right. And increase the ability of the detoxification organs to push it out through the skin, through the liver, through the kidney, through the lungs, through the lymphatic system. Okay. Through the digestive system, etc. Okay. So it's really important to understand that. I know that a lot of people think that, hey, even your doctors probably told you you're allergic to the sun. But let me tell you, it is by far one of the most important ingredients to health.
By far. So we got to understand the case may be that you're really not allergic to the sun when we really understand this, because there's a reaction because of our skin, but it's a reaction because of what we've digested, what we've put in our body. There are substances that do well with sunlight, and there are substances and foods that don't do well. So many cases that sun sensitivity isn't truly an allergic reaction, but a phototoxic reaction. And these really occur when certain chemicals in your body absorb UV energy and release it in ways that damage skin cells. Because remember, our skin is the largest receptor, right? Even medication enters your body. And so you take a photosensitizing drug like certain antibiotics, certain diuretics, NSAIDs, certain medications are so much more sensitive to the sun. And so you think you're allergic, and it's really the medication that you're taking. Even activating chemicals. Sunlight triggers a chemical reaction with the medication in your skin cells. And then the reaction produces compounds that damage your DNA, your cell membranes, causing inflammation. So this is a chemical reaction, not an immune response. The sun essentially amplifies the toxic effects of certain substances. When we talk about medication, antibiotics, blood pressure drugs, anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen. I mean, these are regular things that now have an effect on many of us as we get in the sun. St. John's wort, essential, even some of the essential oils. And some of those essential oils are what? Hot oils. Even certain fragrances. Yeah, you smell good, but it's not allowing you to be able to appreciate the UV rays of the sun. And then he said our diet. Now, while food alone rarely causes severe photosensitivity, certain compounds in our diet can make skin more reactive to the UV light. The evidence is particularly strong for sorolins, natural plant chemicals that dramatically increase sun sensitivity, celery and parsley, figs and citrus, carrots and parsnips. Wow, these are vegetables. These are things that we naturally eat. The famous margarita burn happens when what? Lime juice gets on your skin before sun exposure. And then that's called a sorolin. It causes severe blistering burns that can leave permanent pigmentation. And you were just enjoying a margarita. Internal toxins. He said, Dr. Bobby Price said, we need to do a detox, right? Because the liver processes photosynthesizing compounds, and when the liver is not functioning properly, or when the liver is impaired, or when you've got a fatty liver, these substances may accumulate, increasing your sun sensitivity. Conditions like hepatitis or cirrhosis can worsen that photosensitivity. Sometimes we have genetic conditions causing abnormal buildup of compounds that become highly reactive in sunlight. Even small amounts of UV exposure can cause severe pain, blistering, and skin damage. And then autoimmune conditions, lupus. So many things that we are dealing with in our body And we think we're just allergic to the sun. And then let's not forget nutritional deficiencies. Low levels of niacin, which is vitamin B3, which increases the photosensitivity. Adequate B vitamins helps your skin maintain its protective barrier against UV damage. See, that's the way God made us. He made us to have the protective barrier, especially those of us who are brown-skinned people. We've got even more of it. So the bottom line is, most people aren't truly allergic to the sun. Instead, sun sensitivity typically results from interactions between the UV radiation and substances in our body, like medications, dietary compounds, or metabolic factors. So our skin's reaction to sunlight is often influenced by what we put in or on our bodies. So if we identify and manage these triggers while practicing good sun protection, most people can safely enjoy time outdoors. And then, of course, if you experience persistent or severe reactions to sun exposure, that's when you definitely need to consult a dermatologist for proper diagnosis and treatment.
Hey, I come out here every day, wherever I'm at in the country or the world. If the sun is out, I'm out. And I put my eyes on it. Sun gazing. Let me start by saying I am not a doctor or a licensed physician here in the United States Corporation of America. But I do know a thing or two about a thing or two. And I know the sun has many healing properties. The UV rays hit you. And it's back in the day, I remember they used to feed us with that propaganda. Don't look at the sun, you're going to go blind. They also told me milk does a body good. So you know they be lying. They be lying. I'm 34 years old now. I have never met anyone in my lifetime that has gone blind from looking at the sun. Never met them, never seen it on the internet. Anyway, waking up in the morning, man, putting your eyes towards the sun, not for a long time, and it also has to be real early because, you know, the sun heats up throughout the day. So preferably when the sun first comes out.
There it is. There's the sunrise. People have been asking me, Darren, why are you so geeked out and talking so much about the sunrise and sunset, sun gazing, looking directly at the sun for 2 to 3 to 4 minutes at sunrise and sunset? Think about it. For hundreds of thousands of years, if not 2-3 million years, man has been waking up with no lights, no artificial light, waking up at sunrise because of natural cortisol. Their hormone cycles worked fantastic. The caveman and cavewoman intelligence to self-heal. That was their alarm clock. They got up and they looked in the sky and they says, wow, and they stared at it. People are dying prematurely with this modern stress for a few reasons. One is inflammation, chronic inflammation. Number two is their hormones are screwed up. That caveman and cavewoman, the God-gifted intelligence to self-heal and to have our hormones optimal, to be young and vibrant in our 70s, 80s, and 90s is there. The sunrise in the morning, looking directly at the sun with the healing power of intention, tells your body to create melatonin at night to sleep like a baby where your body can regenerate. The sunset at night tells your body to naturally bump up your cortisol in the morning to wake you up and then bring your cortisol back down so you don't have chronic cortisol high all day long. Your natural hormone cycles work optimally when you do the anti-aging hacks. Tips: sunrise and sunset sun gazing. The second one is fasting. When the body thinks it's going to die, it self-heals. And when you don't have food in your gut, the body heals. It brings down inflammation. It helps your brain. It helps everything. My other one is cold exposure. We'll talk about it at a later time. That's why you need to look at the sunrise and the sunset. Take your shoes off, put your feet in the wet grass, get an additional benefit called grounding. That's why I want you to watch the sunrise and the sunset. Do sun gazing. Consider fasting the #1 tool to age gracefully and not be on medications in your 60s, 70s, and 80s and live your life to true fulfillment. I love you. You'd have the power to change and make the rest of your life the best of your life. Look at that beautiful thing. Woo! And my mom is talking to me, my guardian angel out there. I love you.
So sun gazing, it's an ancient practice. You know, so much of the stuff that we're learning has been done throughout history. And as time goes on, you know, technology and improvements and advancements remove all the good stuff. So sun gazing, also known as solar meditation or sun yoga, it's an ancient practice found in cultures worldwide, from Egyptian sun worship to Hindus, Surya, Namaskara. Civilizations have long recognized the spiritual power of connecting with solar energy. And so that's why we live in a time when they capture the solar energy and put it inside. And so therefore we don't go outside to do it. So modern practitioners believe in looking at the sun during safe hours can increase energy, enhance mental clarity, and deepen spiritual connection. I'm hoping that after this, you will not be afraid. Because you're going to hear us say over and over and over again, in the safe times, he said sunrise and sunset. So we got to understand safe sun gazing. I didn't tell you to go out there in the middle of the day and look up at the sun. First 30 minutes after sunrise, the UV levels are minimal. Sun appears red or orange. That's the safest time for brief gazing practice with proper precautions. Mid-morning to late afternoon, UV levels peak. That is not the time to be looking at the sun or gazing at the sun, because that's when you risk permanent retinal damage and solar retinopathy. But sunrise, sunset, the last 30 minutes before sunset, the UV levels minimize again and the sun appears red or orange. That's the second safe window for that mindful solar connection. So it's about safety first. Yes, we want the wellness that we can receive from the power of the sun, but we want safety. So direct sun gazing during the daylight hours can permanently damage your retina. Solar retinopathy is irreversible and can cause blind spots, distorted vision, or complete vision loss. So if you're going to explore sun gazing, limit to first 30 minutes after sunrise and last 30 minutes before sunset. Start with seconds, never minutes. Always prioritize eye safety over any claimed benefits. Because there are benefits. Practitioners of safe sun gazing report various benefits like increased energy and vitality throughout the day, because you started your day here. Enhanced mental clarity and focus, deeper meditation states and spiritual connection, improved mood and emotional balance, and then a greater sense of connection to nature, which is why he said, do the grounding along with that. These benefits may result from the overall mindfulness practice, early morning routine, and safe sun exposure rather than direct sun gazing itself. And then it has some biblical significance, biblical light, divine presence. John 1 and 4, 5, John chapter 1, verse 4 and 5 says, in him was life, and the life was the light of all mankind. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. King James says, comprehended it not. God's omnipresence light. Light in Scripture profoundly symbolizes God's omnipresent being and divine wisdom, a beacon of truth and guidance for all believers. As stated in John 1 and 5, the divine light shines eternally, and no darkness can ever truly put it out. It can't extinguish its power or overcome its promise. And then the physical light we experience serves as a metaphor, reflecting the spiritual illumination and divine love that guides our souls towards profound connections. This spiritual dimension adds meaning to our physical wellness practices, reminding us that healing encompasses body, mind, and spirit. So let's create a sun wellness practice. In the morning, step outside. Within 30 minutes of sunrise, face the east and spend 5 to 10 minutes in gratitude, breathing deeply while enjoying gentle sunlight on your face. Midday vitamin D window, Get 10 to 15 minutes of direct sunlight on your arms and your legs between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. when the UVB rays are optimal for vitamin D synthesis. So you can benefit in the heat of the day, but not for sun gazing, just to receive the vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin. And then the evening sunset reflection in your day by watching the sunset mindfully. Use this time for reflection, gratitude, and preparing your circadian system for rest. We talked about the circadian rhythm. If we get in connection with our circadian rhythm, we will have better waking and better sleeping. So it's about sun meditation. That's a practice. Combine the benefits of mindfulness meditation with your gentle solar connection. Find a comfortable seated position facing the rising or setting sun. Close your eyes and feel the warmth on your face. Breathe deeply and slowly. With each inhale, imagine drawing in the solar energy and vitality. And with each exhale, release tension and negativity. This practice connects you to both the physical and the spiritual aspects of solar wellness. Start with 5 minutes and gradually extend to 15 to 20 minutes as you become more comfortable with this sun meditation practice. Now, we want to avoid that midday gazing. We're going to say it again. We don't want anyone to go out and say, we're supposed to gaze in the middle of the day. No, we're going to receive the vitamins from the middle of the day, but never look directly at the sun between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. That's when those UV levels are too high and can cause that retinal damage. And even during those safe hours, you still should limit the direct gazing to seconds, not minutes. Brief glances are sufficient for mindful connection. And if you experience any eye pain, vision changes, or persistent after images, stop. Stop immediately. And then you consult an eye doctor. And always build sun tolerance slowly. Sudden intense exposure, that's what can cause burns and increase skin cancer risk. I see people laying in the sun in the heat of the day. When we go to the beach to watch the sun rise, people are not even coming to the beach until it's at the height. And then they get out there with all their clothes off, not all their clothes off, but you know what I'm talking about, their bathing suits and everything, and they're just laying there and just soaking it in and getting burnt. And then there's some other alternatives to this solar wellness, because a lot of times you're living in a city or a state where you're not getting that much sun. So there's sun salutation yoga. That's a practice. Sun salutations while facing the rising sun. This moving meditation honors solar energy, or grounding in the sunlight, or even having solar charging rituals using sunlight to charge your crystals, set intentions, or practice gratitude. Now let's talk about sunscreen. Because see, that's something that we all tend to use, and we've been told, put the sunscreen on, and we put it on everywhere, all over our body.
When you put on sunscreen, you are essentially blocking the sun, okay? Many of you have probably seen in the news or on social media where I do believe Bill Gates is creating technology to block out the sun. When I tell you that not only is this an abomination to everything divine, but this is also part of the miseducation that is happening as well too, with making people believe that the sun is their enemy when no life would exist without the sun. Okay, so that's one thing. Okay, the next thing is sunscreen. So, because I've been to the beach and I've seen people take sunscreen and have a small baby and put the sunscreen literally all over the baby, including the face and the head and everywhere else. Okay, I've seen people go to the beach and they put it all over their body. Okay, and the vast majority of sunscreens, I would say 80 to 90% of sunscreens, not only have toxic chemicals that when you put it on your skin, It absorbs transdermally into the bloodstream, okay? And many of those chemicals can cross the blood-brain barrier and go into the brain, okay? Titanium dioxide is one of them. Titanium dioxide damages DNA, and it also impairs the immune system as well, too, all right? It causes immune system toxicity. So that's a common chemical that is in sunscreens as well, too. Triclosan, that's a common chemical that is in most sunscreens as well, too. Oxybenzone, which in many studies has been touted to be carcinogenic and can cause cancer as well, too. All right, so it's just hugely important to understand, and this is just 3, okay? There's a long list of the chemicals that are in sunscreen, okay? So I'm not gonna go into far depth about that, but I highly recommend that you understand what is in the ingredients of your sunscreen if you're going to use it. In my opinion, the idea and the focus should be, how do I get my body to accept the sun? How do I get my body back in coordination with the sun, back in circadian rhythm with the sun? That should be the focus, in my opinion, all right? Given that all of our ancestors spent the vast majority of their time outside in the sun, working, playing, and living, all right? With that being said, I'll give you a few alternatives that I use, okay? I use shea butter, okay? So there's only 2 places in the world that I've had to put something on my skin because it was crazy hot and the sun was literally beating on my skin. And that was Egypt, and I spent 30 days in Egypt, and some places in Thailand. Okay, well, I'm out on the beach or on a boat for extended periods of time, okay? But after a couple of days, then I don't even have to use these, okay? So shea butter and coconut oil. They do have a very low level of SPF that could be in a range of 8 to 10, which is very low. But again, in my opinion, you need sun. And if you're sun sensitive, I just recommend going in and out of the shade, giving yourself little micro doses of the sun. You also could add a little bit of raspberry seed oil, okay? That'll actually be very protective to the skin as well, too. So you can add that to the shea butter or the coconut oil, too. I prefer the shea butter, okay? Especially when I'm trying to use it, you know, in places like Egypt or Thailand. Again, these are the only places that I've gone in the world that I felt like the sun was different. So you could use those combination of things. There are mineral-based sunscreen options. And I'll tell you, one of the key things you need to make sure if you're going to get one of those mineral-based options that sort of reflect the sun is to make sure you get a non-nano zinc oxide option. Okay, non-nano zinc oxide option. But in my opinion, just coming from the heart, figure out a way to get back in balance with the sun, because it gives all life. Without the sun, no plants would exist, so we wouldn't exist. No life on earth would exist. So that should tell you we should be in balance with the sun, okay? When we're not in balance with the sun, we don't sleep well, we have a bad mood, we predispose ourselves to infection, our blood pressure is higher, our wounds don't heal, we don't get adequate levels of vitamin D, so that should tell you a lot in and of itself.
So as we began to look at this, there were some, as I began to research to find sunscreens that possibly are mineral-based or, like you said, look for mineral physical filters such as non-nano zinc oxide. That's what he said. That's what he said. And, or titanium dioxide. We don't want that either. See, check that it's labeled vegan. No animal-derived ingredients and cruelty-free. Look for broad spectrum that protects against both UVA and UVB, and you get the UV that we need to receive. Prefer formulas that are reef safe, free from oxybenzone. Consider finish and texture, no heavy white cast for deeper skin tones. that are comfortable for daily wear. And for your wellness brand, alignment with clean plant-based ingredients, minimal synthetic additives, suitable for sensitive skin, and etc. So they're out there if you just desperately need something. Otherwise, our focus is going to be putting the things in our body that cause us to be balanced with the sun. But we still want safe exposure. Regular moderate sunlight exposure provides vital physical and mental health benefits. So start slowly. If you've never done it, if you've never spent time out there, start slowly. Build your tolerance gradually while respecting your skin type, respecting your limitations. But don't just exit out, because we've been told don't go out in the sun. And that's terrible to say the sun is your enemy. Nothing that God made is our enemy. We just have to position ourselves to be in connection with it and in balance with it and in sync. Sunrise viewing, sunset meditation, grateful solar connection can deepen our wellness practice without requiring risky direct gazing. So many spiritual benefits. Amazing. You'll be amazed at what you receive from, as Dr. Price says, the divine. From the world that we live in, from God himself. Honor the sun's power by enjoying it safely. True wellness practices enhance life rather than risk it. Let ancient wisdom guide us towards solar practices that heal and sustain rather than damage. I hope you will embrace the sun. I've started embracing the sun as a gift for my physical health, for my mental clarity, for my spiritual connection. And start practicing it with reverence, safety, and gratitude. That concludes our series on the sun and the power of the sun as it relates to our wellness. And I hope that we can begin to move in this direction to receive the benefits of the sun.